Every day, hundreds of children throughout Birmingham receive hot meals at schools through our mobile sites during this remote period of teaching and learning. Throughout the week, our scholars benefit from the programs to help improve learning in critical subjects such as math and reading. Our Birmingham City School educators are able to do much of this work because our district, like other public school districts around the country, receive federal dollars. The census helps inform the federal government on our funding needs for our local schools. I am Daji Hendricks, president of the Birmingham Board of Education and the board representative for District 4. We are just a few days away from September 30th's deadline for completing the Census 2020. Unfortunately, a large number of people in our community have not completed their census. The census form is very simple. It can be filled out online in about 6 minutes. This is our community. These are our schools and these are our children. So right now, stop whatever you're doing and go to www.2020census.gov. Make Birmingham count. Thank you.
Hello, Birmingham. It's important that every 10 years that we take the time to fill out this form, the census form, because it impacts what we're able to do on a local level. Important for grants, it's important to our schools, it helps us with our libraries. If you're tired of the potholes, then you need to fill out the census. If you're tired of the flooding that takes place in our city, you need to fill out the census. It gives us the money and the tools to address the needs of this city, but also the needs of our schools, our medical facilities, and a whole plethora of things. I would ask that you just take it. It's easy. It's really, really easy. And it only takes 10 minutes. So let's fill out the census and address the needs that we have in our community.
For more from the Birmingham City Council, follow along with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Stay safe, Birmingham.
Hello. Happy Monday to each of you, and welcome to our show, Perspective. As I told you guys a few weeks ago, okay. Hello. I was muted. Let's try this again. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday to each of you, and thank you for joining Perspective. I'm your host, Japal Vines. Delighted and honored always to come to you, and glad that you are listening to us and sharing your Monday with us. We realize that you don't have to do so. As I told you a few weeks ago, as we got closer to the election and the census, you would see commercials just as what you have seen, reminding you to do your part. And we will be talking about the census before our program ends. Again, I'm delighted, and I thank each of you for sharing. As always, we do ask that you share this live with someone that you think may just get a kick out of it. We're almost in the 8th month of COVID, and we could all use some entertainment. And as always, we have an insightful and impactful show on to you tonight. So go ahead and share this live with someone and even tag people in it. And we very much appreciate you for doing so. Well, I'm not going to delay the hour. Our guest is backstage with us, and we're going to bring him in virtually. And our guest is none other than Marc Raby. Mr. Raby, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Great. Thank you for joining us. And for those
having me on, man. Thank you.
Great. It's a pleasure. For those in and around Birmingham, Marc really needs no introduction. Of course, we're going to allow him to tell you a little bit about himself. But if you've been in Birmingham a number of years, Marc is an accomplished playwright. He has his own production company. And recently in Roebuck, he opened his own theater company, Encore Studio and Gallery. So we're going to talk about all of that. Plus, he has a virtual theatrical performance coming up. So we're going to talk about all that tonight. We're just going to have some fun. You have 2 theater books, so you never know what can happen, but
No,
for it, have some fun. So for those who don't know you, tell people where you're from, just for starters.
Oh yeah. Again, man, let me say thank you for having me on. This is really great. I had the opportunity to attend a few of your shows actually. I got an opportunity to see your holiday piece, and I got an opportunity to see the big production that you did at the Boutwell. And man, it's just wonderful to see you doing your thing, man. This city is filled with so much great talent, you know, and really unbeknownst to a great sector of our city, there is a lot of Black theater talent, man. Right?
It really is.
In Birmingham, and so I'm honored that you're having me on, man. I'll like you said, we'll just have fun since there's no predetermined topic of what we're talking about. But I'm from right here in Birmingham, Alabama, actually, right here in Birmingham, Alabama. Born, bred, and raised. I have been doing something as it relates to theater since very, very early on. I like to say theater is all I know, although I have my hands in quite a few things, man. You know, I feel like a fish out of water when I can't do theater, you know, and I'm sure you can attest to the same thing. It's something about when you're passionate about the arts, especially when you get an opportunity to showcase your people in a regular, frequent way, man. So, yeah, that's in a nutshell. I am a playwright and a theater producer, and an author of a few books as well. I'm a clinician. I coach acting, pretty much anything that is remotely associated with the theater art form. I do. And I also have a graphic design company or a brand management company. So we do that as well. As a matter of fact, being down in this COVID, man, you kind of have to have your hands in many things in order to stay afloat. And as you mentioned, it's now going on 3 years. So 3 years ago, we birthed Encore Theater and Gallery in the Roebuck area. We have since moved to a new location, a little bit bigger location, and there's so much in the works, man. When COVID passes, we are broadening the spectrum of what we do. So we just gave birth to what we call Parkway Cultural Arts Center. And Encore is housed within the Cultural Arts Center. And so there's so much in the works, Mr. Bond. There's so much in the works. So just keep your eyes open, man. We're working on it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And let me say this before moving on. It's quite an interesting story of how, and if some of my cast is watching tonight, they're going to get a kick out of this. When I first started professionally, I knew of you and just hadn't had the chance to meet. And so I think some of my cast saw online where you had commented on a flyer or something. It was the first or the second show that we did. And it was like, oh my God, Marc Raby's coming to the show. We gotta be right. We gotta be right. I was like, y'all, you know, kind of chill out. I'm gonna have you right regardless. You know, that's something you don't have to worry about. And so after that, it was a phone conversation, actually. Marc and I talked for a few hours, and one thing that he shared with me, it really, really, really went a long way. I've said it private, I'll say it publicly tonight. He's one of the most gracious individuals that you want to meet. He told me on that phone call, he said, look, he said, Japal, I'm gonna tell you this. He said, I don't do this for everybody. He said, I'm gonna stop doing shows for a while to allow you to be able to get out there on the scene and to hear someone say that when they do the same thing as you do. So I've said this on the show again, and I'll say it again tonight. When you're in the same arena as someone and you all do the same thing and do similar things, it's not about competition. What we as a society, what we have to do Right. You said it right. Collaborate. That's it. What we have to do is come together because I think for so long in our city, in our state, even in our country, we're seeing it instead of working together, we've seen competition. When you compete, you get nothing done. The only competition you should be is, competing against yourself, opting to make yourself bigger and better. So again, I want to thank you for that. Always being gracious. You've included me in newspaper editions that I never thought would have happened. So that's just the gracious individual that you are. And I want to thank you for that. And even when I've had questions about shows, anything, he's always been a text or a phone call away. And those are the people that you want in your life. I always tell people friends love you. Some friends love you enough for you to stay the same, but mentors love you enough. They don't want you to stay the same. So those are the kind of people that you want in your life. And again, thank you for all, not only that you do for me and Divine Vision Entertainment, but for all theater companies here in this city, because it does take, we as a village to branch out and support one another.
Man, listen, just to kind of expound on our conversation, we came into each other's world at a time when Black theater did not have the momentum that it's been gaining over the years. Because people had already made up their minds about the quality of the show or the caliber of the show, because it wasn't at one of our more renowned facilities or renowned places where shows are traditionally done in our city. If you weren't one of the name organizations, people, even folks who look like us, wouldn't necessarily be so quick to give us an opportunity to support what we were doing. I hope I put that as nicely as I could. And so I knew that there is strength in numbers. And so what I didn't want to do was to have it in any way look like, as you said, there was anything competitive going on, but I wanted to celebrate what you were doing and support what you were doing and supply you with whatever resources I had so you could do what you do and do it well and succeed, because nobody does anything with the intent to fail. Everybody wants to succeed, and there is strength in numbers, man. You and I are not the only African American playwrights in the city who are facing the hurdle of trying to prove that we have stories to tell and that they're worth being seen, and that we've got something to say. And it's important for all of us to support each other, because when we support each other, then as a whole, people don't mind coming out to see what we're doing, because we're supporting each other to be our very, very best. There have been many playwrights that maybe they posted a flyer, right? And the flyer didn't look all that great, and it's not unusual for me to inbox and say, hey, let me redo that for you, because like I said, man, we're better together. So and no apology, no thank you necessary, man, because we are trying to thrive and survive collectively, as a whole, and we can only do that together, man. We're better together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then let's get into some more questions. What age did you start acting? Because I know for people that don't know, not only is he a director, producer, a writer, he also still finds time to act as well.
Well, if you ask my family, they're gonna tell you forever. I don't think them can recall a time when theater isn't what I'm. But I want to say I started at 9.
Okay.
And so here I am, man, over 20 some years later, still kicking it in there, man. But the beautiful thing is that I had the opportunity to start early with wonderful mentors and great counsel, and I was surrounded by wonderful elders, and both in the craft and in our community, who were imparting things that now I have the opportunity to share, so that the next person coming along can shine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then what age did you start writing plays? Because that I've a few weeks ago, my sister even actually had the opportunity to, interview me and I talked about my writing experience. So I always like to hear stories from other people. So we're gonna get to the good stuff. All of this is good, but we're gonna get to some more things later. But I just want to hear, what age did you start writing?
Um, well, I started writing maybe in elementary school, but production and stage plays didn't come until high school, and it's because I was no longer cute and adorable, and couldn't find any work, and there were no casting opportunities for a kid like me. And so I said that I was going to create a lane instead of waiting around on somebody to open one. I decided to create one. And so kind of like Tyler talks about, he wasn't waiting on a seat at the table. He would just build something. And so, yeah, man, that's actually what pushed me into writing, because I wanted to work and I wanted my friends and colleagues and peers to be able to work. And so I said, hey, man, we'll just create our own. And so that's what I've been doing ever since.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then take us back to that first stage play that you did professionally. What was that moment like?
Oh, Lord. You know, we always think that it is a thing is easy to do. You know, can you imagine somebody trying to build a house just from a picture they saw, but not actually having the blueprint?
Mm-hmm.
And so making the transition to producer and director was a whole nother animal. But the beautiful thing is that God has always aligned me with a great team. Like I've always had people who had my back, you know, who supported what it is that I've set out to do. Right. And so that first show, I feel like I should be saying never would have made it without the crew. I tell you. And I got to tell you this, there are people who started with me on that first show that I don't want to misquote, but I feel like it was 17 years ago. 16, 17 years. There are people who started with me on that show who are still with me now.
Wow.
My band, my very first band was Marlon Spears. I believe Marlon Spears on keys. Okay. Dwight Houston was on horn, and he was also my MD. And David Houston was the drummer. And I tell the story all the time, and they don't like me to tell it, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. I tell the story all the time about how there was a packed house at my very first show. But people oftentimes don't realize that just because the house is packed don't mean that the bills get paid.
Absolutely. Say that again.
And we had a packed house, and David and Dwight walked up to me after the show when I went to pay them, and they handed their payment back to me, and they said, no, this is good ground. We believe that we're sowing on good ground. And so they gave it back to me, and whenever I've called since, they've been right there when I've called, man, and here I am, maybe, I don't know, maybe, 50, 60 shows later, and they still call me friend, and I still call them friend. As a matter of fact, my best friend since high school, she has appeared in every original show I've ever done, with the exception of one. She's been in every single show since then, man. And so it pays to treat people right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now let's talk, because I definitely want to make sure that we get this out to the public. You have a virtual stage play that's coming up on next Tuesday. Very excited about that at 7:30. And the name of it is Fanny, Ordinary Titan. And this, of course, is a one-woman show, and it tells the story of civil rights icon Fannie Lou Hamer. Probably one of my favorite civil rights icons ever.
She's probably one of the least celebrated too.
Yeah, I agree. And for those who are watching, if you don't know who she is, once you attend the play, because I do hope that everyone that's watching tonight, you will purchase a ticket to this virtual show. We'll get that information out to you, and Marc will share in a few moments. But briefly, give us a synopsis of what we can expect from this one-woman show.
Well, the first thing is it's not actually a one-woman show, but
Okay.
it's multiple women performing one voice.
Wow.
And it's because she is, like I said, she's a titan, man. She's such a big person
Right.
that it
Absolutely.
takes several women just to share the presentation. I wouldn't necessarily call it a stage play, not quite, But I would say that it is definitely different for me. Not quite something I have done quite this way before. But man, we're right here on the cusp of voting season, right? Of time to go to the polls. And a lot of times I think it is disheartening that we as a people don't always seize the opportunity to vote. I think we take for granted the blood, sweat, and tears that has come before us so that we'll have the opportunity. I think that we have relegated the stories of real life people who had real life afflictions, who had real life scars and a real life turmoil in their life, and we relegated to just a black and white picture that we may or may not saw in a history book. And so just for a moment in the presentation, I would like to introduce people to the story, the pain, the reality of an ordinary woman from the Mississippi Delta who picked cotton at the age of 6, who all she wanted was children, but couldn't have children because she went in for a medical procedure and the doctor decided to give her a hysterectomy to control the Black population in the area. And so she ultimately went on to adopt children, but someone took that from her, you know? And so after having so many things taken from her, the one thing she wouldn't allow people to take from her is her right to vote. And so I just thought it was important to shine a little light on the incomparable Fannie Lou Hamer. So that's what we're going to do, man. That's what we're going to do.
Awesome.
And her birthday happens to fall on the day that we're going to do the presentation, which is October 6th.
Wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we're pretty
As you said, she is definitely one of the least celebrated, I would say, men and women from the civil rights era that you hear of. And, you know, I'm sure you've done the research. When you mention voting and women's rights, her name appears on those lines. So what better production than to be done as we are just weeks away from voting?
And listen, man, I don't think that there has in our nation's history, I don't think there's been a more necessary time to ensure that you get to the polls.
Right.
Run there, leap there, jump there, skip there, flip there if you need to.
Right, absolutely.
As the songwriter said, I don't care how you get there, just get there.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And for those who've been tuning into the show, we started last month. They know every week we really appeal to the audience about voting, and we'll continue to do that because, like you said, we just got to get it done. We got to get it done. I was just looking at some things on television today from the administration, and I'll say this, I'll say it again at the end. If we don't realize the seriousness of the times that we're living in and the issues, then I really don't know what needs to be said to you. It's actually some turbulent times, but we just have to do our part. And Karen Brown said it best: vote, 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 vote. Yeah, you just got to do that.
It pains me, man, to read some of these comments about their vote doesn't matter, or whether they go or not, or they're not going to vote, and you know, and it really drives me crazy, you know, because there is an investment there. There's an investment that's been made, and now it's your opportunity to reap the return on somebody else's investment, and you're going to miss it. So I hope that people are compelled to vote.
Absolutely. And then going back to the production, I want to make sure that we hit on this. As you and I know, and everyone else that's watching, the third week in March, that changed a lot for all of us.
Yeah.
And as you stated, especially for those of us that do productions and entertainment. And let's talk for a moment about virtual theater. I had a conference call earlier today with someone, and we were both laughing and talking. And he said, "Well, what's your take on virtual theater?" I said, "I see it the same way as I do the students with virtual learning.
Mhm.
I think now we have an option to continue virtual theater once everything is safe for us to get back into the theaters. You just think about it. It's easier for someone to say, I have 10 seconds to get to my laptop or my cell phone or my tablet to make it to this production versus 10 minutes to get to the theater or the venue where the production is. You don't know if there's a traffic jam. So this is a model that we can use. Let's talk to that. How would you appeal to the audience to kind of embrace virtual theater? Because it's evident, just as we've seen many artists do, this is a new trend and it will be here for a while.
Yeah, well, the first is you're absolutely right. It's a great alternative for us to continue to deliver in what it is that we do, right, from the comfort of our own homes. You're absolutely right. I do think things are going to. I don't think things will ever be the same,
Right, absolutely.
but I do think that there will be a return to
Right.
the theater. There'll definitely be new measures and new precautions and things that are going to be done because people are hesitant. They are concerned. They want to know what you're doing to keep them safe. And we are actually already implementing the protocols for when we reopen, and already lining up how that's going to operate. I am excited about the opportunity to present the presentation on October 6th. And I'm also excited about all of the virtual theater that I've been seeing, but I gotta be honest with you, Paul. We're doing this because we felt like it needed to be done.
Absolutely.
I don't like to do things just to be doing them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like the more you chit chat, the less likely people are to value what it is that you have to say when you got something to say. I think there's such thing as talking too much, and so it was important to me not to try to drop a bunch of virtual presentations just to be doing it on the theater tip, because I wanted people to receive whatever it was that we put up as being something that was of value and necessary to be seen and to be heard. And so that's, hey man, Fannie Lou Hamer, what else could that be? Back in May, we did a thing called Monologue Mondays, where every Monday we highlighted. And let me tell you, the real reason behind doing that is because I think it's important for people to know that there are more than a handful of Black performers in the city.
Absolutely.
And
I didn't get a chance to see that. You all missed a treat. Yeah. You all did monologues from scripts that I had forgotten about. It was great. I just can't say enough about it. It was great.
Yeah, and the performers were doing works that were Black, white, and other.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the beautiful thing about our people, particularly as a culture, is that we have the ability to shine no matter what box you put us in.
Absolutely.
We're gonna find a nook, crook, cranny, crack, hole opening, man, to let our light shine through, because that's part of the magic of who we are. And so that's kind of what Monologue Monday was designed to do. We already have virtual theater. We've had it for some time. Let me tell you what it's called. It's called Netflix. It's called Amazon. It's called, they've been sitting at home waiting around on things to launch. And now all we got to do, Chapal, is we've got to convince these same people to continue to support us with the click of a mouse. We still have something to say, even though it may not be in an arena, an auditorium, or theater. Trust me, we still have many, 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 many more stories. Yeah.
So let me say this, and we're going to keep talking. For those of us who had a chance to watch Hamilton via streaming through Disney, it was great. I watched it, but you have local theater companies right here in Birmingham. My guest tonight is an African-American male. We're talking about Black Lives Matter. Some of y'all on here I've seen in your posts, Black Lives Matter. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's tell these people where they could get tickets up, and we're going to post this information after the show.
Hey, man, listen. Absolutely. Black Lives Matter. Black creatives matter.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm going to add one more to that. Black neighborhoods matter.
Absolutely.
Black neighborhoods matter. I remember growing up, there were many more community centers.
Mhm.
There were more activities at the rec center. You know, it was just stuff, you know, to do, to occupy what we do. There's a poem that Nikki Giovanni writes, and she talks about, you know, they took away books, so the boys started breakdancing, and they took away this, so the boys started rapping, and they took away that. And I tell you, man, there's no other art form that allows our kids to escape
Absolutely
from certain environments than the arts. And so what I'm aiming to do, man, and I'd love to have you be a part of in the coming year, is to drop more arts in the individual neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
And so that's what my pursuits are gonna be. To answer your question, I'm sorry about rambling, but to answer your question about the show, if you'll go on Facebook, you'll see Parkway, type in Parkway Cultural Arts Center. Parkway Cultural Arts Center. And that's where you can find tickets to the virtual presentation. What's really, really cool about the Fanny piece is that there's no set ticket price. You can pay what you want, unless you desire to be VIP. That's one thing that we kind of made our signature thing, Paul, out at the Encore. Like, if you buy a VIP ticket, man, we rolled out the red carpet with appetizers and all that good stuff. And so I still wanted to be able to provide that opportunity. So if you purchase a VIP ticket, we will mail you a Fanny t-shirt. We will mail you a program, the souvenir program, to the show. It'll all come right to your front door, in addition to you being able to view the presentation. But it's really a pay what you want, because our organization is a 501c3 organization. And it is an opportunity for you, whatever you do, it is tax deductible.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
And can you don't give all of them away, but can you shout out some of the wonderful actresses that will be participating? You said don't give all of them away. Okay. Well, you'll see the wonderful Miss Tashara Monique. You'll see the wonderful Miss Junica Van. You'll see Joy White. You'll see Erica Kellum. It's quite a few. So if I didn't call your name, please don't be mad. Those four alone are all powerhouses, and
Sharonda Major.
Right, and it shows because they've done numerous shows with you time and time again. So definitely.
Not just for me, man. I tell you, they probably touched quite a few stages in this city, man. It's just really, really great to call and they come. You know? Yeah.
And then let's kind of go here for a few seconds. As we both talked about, COVID-19 is still very much real, and it's not going, shows no signs of going away. What would you say to that creative that's watching tonight, whether they are an actor, a writer, an author, an artist, just of any form? They've kind of like been in a tight space since COVID has happened. And I'll even say this, may have even lost their inspiration to, go forth as they normally would. What would you say to that individual?
Create through it.
Absolutely.
Create through it. And let me tell you why. You and I talked at the beginning of this tonight about, it being the air you breathe. When you're passionate about something, you feel out of place when you can't do that thing that you're called to do. And so just do it. Just do it. Don't let your gift be relegated to whether or not it's generating income, or whether or not it is getting shared, clicked, like, follow. That's been the biggest demise for creatives, in my opinion. Because if you believe that you are called to do a thing, right? And you believe that God has ordained for you to do that thing and to create and to thrive, then you're going to do that by any means necessary, whether there's a massive audience, or whether there is a massive ticket price, whether or not it's going to generate you the income it used to generate. This is where the rubber meets the road, and you figure out whether or not you are really called to do a thing, or you were just doing that thing because it was beneficial. Because see, they're two different things. That's like people who preach. They may not be called, but it's beneficial. They collect a check every Sunday. I'm just saying.
Right, absolutely.
I'm just saying. So the same thing is for creatives. It was nothing. You just talked about the Monologue Monday presentation. It's nothing for you as an actor to go pull a monologue offline and record yourself doing it and post it on your Facebook page and continue to create. You should be using this season to sharpen and refine. I can't tell you how many virtual workshops I've gone to during this quarantine, how many certifications I've gone to during this quarantine, how many endeavors that I've picked up, because I want to come out this quarantine a better me, not a beaten me. I'll say it again. I want to come out of this quarantine a better me, not a beaten me. Absolutely. I don't want to come out of this thing looking like I've been whooped and downtrodden and never would have made it and all that. No, I want to come out of this thing saying, God used this time to make me be the best me I could possibly be for this next season that he's going to walk me into. Because I'm telling you, man, it's still going to happen. Great things, Japal, great things, brother, are still going to happen. Don't count it out. You know what I mean? And even for you, use this as an opportunity, man, as a time to figure out how you'll reinvent yourself coming out of this thing. Because you and I just agreed on something, that theater will never be the same.
Right.
So if theater will never be the same, let's figure out what's it going to be like and let's get to it. Right. So, yeah, man, we trust me, man. We may be being tried on a fire right now, but we coming out of this thing, man, like pure gold. I'm telling you.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some things, can't reveal them just yet because my cats would kill me, but we definitely have some things under our belt. It will actually be 8 years in December since we've been together. So definitely that. So yeah, you heard it first. Keep your ears and eyes
celebrate
open.
That, man. Find a way to celebrate that. That's another thing. We only make noise about the big stuff. Absolutely. Man, celebrate that. Do you realize that you have birthed a whole show? Absolutely. A whole show, man, and a very good one at that. You understand what I'm saying? Not something that was just tossed together, thrown together, my brother. Right. So take the time to celebrate that. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, man, if we'll act like we're faithful over this few, we'll get our mind right over the few. God, God, tonight I had the opportunity to be on Japal Vine's show. Thank you for the opportunity, God, because you're telling me, God, that you're still whispering my name in the ears of great men. That's encouragement for me, man. I feel like I can go on just and run on a little bit more and see what the end will be. And I hope that other people will feel the same.
Yeah. And it's actually funny you brought that up. That was actually bringing me to my next question.
Uh-oh.
As Black-owned business owners, because everyone that watches, we don't discriminate against business owners of other nationalities, but everything that we talk about on this is geared to Black audiences. Celebrating our victories, our wins. That's something that I'm noticing in the Black business community. We have a problem doing.
Yeah.
For me, I announced it, I'll say it again. When people say I'm over 2020, I can't say that. God opened the door for my business to be LLC. That was huge for me. God opened the door for me to form this online show. That was huge for me. So let's talk about for a minute, because I see so many Black business owners watching. I'm not gonna shout out to anyone because I'm gonna overlook somebody. But kudos to each of you for everything that you do. But let's talk about celebrating our wins, because I think that's something that we don't do it enough.
Listen, man, God is faithful. 3 years ago, I opened the city's only African American owned theater. Let me celebrate that and say I opened the city's only African American theater.
Absolutely.
And I opened it in the midst of being told that it was a bad idea. I opened it in the midst of being told that there was no funding to do so in this area because the funding was already on lock. I opened it in the midst of being told that there wouldn't be enough qualified African-American performers in the city to do a whole season. Like, who are you going to cast? People are going to get tired of seeing the same people. And as you can see, we have cast an array of talent on our stage, faces that were familiar and unfamiliar since we've been there. And so the victory for me is that God prepared a table for me in the, I ain't gonna call them enemies, but in the presence of naysayers, you know. He did that, and he did that without, we opened our space without a single grant, without a single major donor, without a single sponsor. We opened Encore with the grace of God. That's what we did. And I believe that there's so many things that are being crushed and hindered because we got naysayers on the outside telling us what we can and can't do.
Absolutely.
Because it's not in their might or because it's not in their power. So there are so many lids that we're putting on the growth of our businesses and the growth of our ideas because we let somebody on the outside who he didn't give the vision to, who don't even have the ability to write it and make it plain because he didn't give it to you, hinder what it is that we're trying to do. And so here's what I've got to say. We serve a God that is a God of more than enough.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There are more than enough African-American people in the city, actors and performers to create a show. There's more than enough resources. There are some folk who haven't even called for the grant money or the loan money, Japal, because they let somebody tell them they ain't gonna qualify. Or they let somebody tell them that their business isn't good enough. So the door can't get open because you won't even turn the knob.
Wow.
And so we're so worried about access being denied because of what somebody else saying. And God is saying, I am the key.
Yes.
You know, I am the key. He's already giving you the keys to the kingdom. Go get it. So my answer is, we're not in a season of lack. You have what you say you have. So we're not in a season of lack. We're not broke, busted, and disgusted. The best is yet to come. Go get it. Go get it. I mean, we've got to change our thinking. I believe it is Pastor Mike Moore who says, it is your words that frame your world. Stop building these shacks for yourself. If your words frame your world, quit building shacks and go on and build the empire that God has equipped and ordained for you to have. That's what I got to say about that right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you are tearing up our guests. I'm just going to put our audience. I'm just going to post a little bit of these comments. And so now y'all can see why I had him on tonight.
The truth, Japal, I have to be honest. First of all, this is not the kind of interview I thought we were going to have.
But I'm for it, whichever way God.
I gotta be honest with you, man. My hope, brother, it really is built on nothing less.
Yes.
Like, you know, there is no benefactor that I can put my hope or my trust or my confidence is. I can't trust in a horse or a chariot. Neither one of them can get me where I got to go. You know, and so what I'm telling you, man, is if we don't have anything else, we've got Jesus. And so just know, man, like, nah, man, this ain't it. This ain't the end. This ain't it. We've not been forsaken. And so many of us are. I understand that some of the bills may be behind. I understand that you don't have the customers that you need. But God, I wish if we'll get back to the faith that made us open it in the first place.
Absolutely.
See, that's what happens. God gives us the option. We move on faith. Once we get going, we think we are the ones who got it all together.
Mm-hmm.
We think we're the ones who are running the business. We think we're the one who's got to keep it. But if we'll get back to the one who, oh God, man, if we'll just get back, to the one that gave it to us in the first place, right? I guarantee you'll never see yourself forsaken.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He ain't gonna have you around here begging nobody.
Yes.
Somebody for
Yes.
nothing. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You
And
play too much, Paul. You play too much.
being in that place, that's a place of peace, and that's a place of knowing who you are and whose you are in God.
Yeah, man.
And that's the best place that you could be in, because you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about anything. David said, I was young, but now I'm old.
Yeah.
The Lord kind of urbanized it. He said, I've seen a lot of situations unfold.
That's what he said.
And then back to the scripture, he said, I never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. And you just got to trust and believe no matter how things look. You know, you just have to trust and totally believe in him. And let's go here.
Every time you say let's go, every time you say let's go here, Lord have mercy. Go, man, go.
Those who've been watching, y'all know I like real talk and transparency, because it's someone looking tonight that needs it. Even if it's just one person, then at the end of the day, the work that we set out to do has been accomplished. Share a moment since you've been in this business where you strongly had to rely on your faith in Jesus. Because I know a lot of times, I like to say this, we see the glitz and the glamour, but you know, a lot of times we don't see the early morning prayers, late night crying out to God saying, Lord, I need you to do this. I need you to do this ASAP. So share that moment since you've been in business where you really had to rely on your faith in God.
Whew, let's see, how do I filter? I want to protect the innocent. Yeah. I've had a lot of moments where I have had to be okay with the realization that sometimes there's going to be a Judas in the camp. Sometimes it's inevitable. But sometimes having that Judas in your camp is the thing that propels and pushes you to the thing that you were sent in the earth to do in the first place.
Absolutely.
And so I've had to be okay with people not always being who you think they're going to be. I've had to be okay with that. And I've also had to be okay that when people are doing ill will towards you, they don't always know.
Absolutely.
So I have to be okay that sometimes people have their shortcomings that you become a casualty of, but it's not intentional.
Absolutely.
And so I say that to say the biggest lesson that God has taught me is I've had to learn how to forgive. The second thing is this. I have had seasons where shows have been so upside down that I have lost everything. And in losing everything, God has still been a keeper. That's when I talked about the difference between you're doing it because it's beneficial or you're doing it because this is what you're called to do.
Absolutely.
This is what I am called to do. And so I have to take the stripes that come along with it because I have to be obedient to what God has called me to do. So I've had shows set aside. I've had countless, I've had countless loved ones to pass away who were supporters along the journey, who were supporters, who were the cheerleaders or the pushers, or you know what I mean? And I've had to get to a place of not wallowing in the grief, and not staying there to keep going, you know. And it all goes back to realigning yourself to you doing this because it's what you're called to do. You know, and I'm talking about sister, mother, daddy, granddaddy, uncles, aunts, you know, cousins. You know what I mean? And it seems like it all came in a wave, right? There was no need for there to be two deaths. They're gone, and so now I'm gonna lay down and die too.
Absolutely.
So I've had to continue to push through all of that too, man. But it becomes, this is the truth, it becomes easier over time when you know why you do what you do
Mhm.
and for whom you do what you do. You know, all that other stuff just becomes bumps in the road. But you gotta just
Awesome.
push through. Yeah, man, push through.
So we have about, yeah, we're still in good time.
Lord,
To bring us to a close, for those who've been watching, and for those this is your first time watching, these past 2 weeks, these were not originally planned. Every month, and I'm going to continue it. We've been doing a spotlight on Black businesses, and we primarily do it on the second Monday. And our response from that show, it prompted me to do a series, Just Do It. So last week we had Demetria Barlow of Restoration Teas, and tonight we have you on. So to close out this series, bring us home on Just Do It. You know, no excuses. The limits are off. You know, and I'm just gonna say this. Here we are, two Black males. The odds were against both of us if we just really want to be honest, because some of the same things that you were told, I was told the exact same thing. You know, where are you going to find these actors at? How are you going to keep these shows going? Yada, 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 yada. Because at the time I started, I was 28. You a little boy. What can you do? What can you do? And, you know, through all of that, look where we are today. So I want you to kind of close us out. Like I said, the topic for tonight was Just Do It Part 2. So kind of in your own way, just kind of bring us to close on that.
Just do it. Oh, wow. You know, sometimes we don't do what needs to be done because we feel like our portion isn't significant enough, or we aren't important enough, or what we got to say isn't important enough. But everything that God puts in the earth is necessary, because God put you here. You're necessary, and it's important for you to do your part. It's ironically, when you said that, I'm reminded of a poem by Helen Steiner Rice. One of my longtime stage managers. Her name is Danielle Milliner. Hello, Danielle. If you're watching, she recently, her father passed away earlier in the year, and when his children got up to make a presentation, they shared this poem, and it stayed with me ever since. And so, if you don't mind, I'll use these couple of seconds to just share it, and hopefully it'll speak to what you're saying.
Sure.
The poem simply says, "We cannot all be famous or be listed in who's who, but every person, great or small, has important work to do. For seldom do we realize the importance of small deeds, or to what degree of greatness unnoticed kindness leads. For it's not the big celebrity in a world of fame and praise, but it's doing unpretentiously in an undistinguished way the work that God assigned to us, unimportant as it seems, that makes our task outstanding and brings reality to our dreams. So do not sit and idly wish for wider new dimensions where you can put into practice your many good intentions. But at the spot God placed you, begin at once to do little things to brighten up the lives surrounding you. If everybody brightened up the spot where they're standing by being more considerate and a little less demanding, this dark old world would very soon eclipse the evening star if everybody brightened up the corner where they are." Get your shine on, man. Just do it. Get your shine on. Brighten up your corner. Brighten up your corner.
Awesome. That's it in a nutshell. That's it.
Man. That's it. Just do your part. Get in your lane. And that's another thing. Stay in your lane.
Absolutely.
Stay in your lane. God has already ordained what your path is. Stop trying to do what the Joneses across the street doing and what Jackie around the corner doing. That ain't your portion. If you'll stay in your lane, God will bless what's yours.
Absolutely.
That's all I got, man. That's all I got.
Awesome. And before we end tonight, I don't see her on, but I'm sure she'll watch the replay as always. I have to give a shout out to one special person who's special in both of our lives. She was actually your school teacher, and she's been like a second mom to me, Belinda George Peoples.
Hey, you gotta. I keep trying to teach y'all how you gotta do that, man. You have to put. No, man. Now you can't. You got to put the. put the
Yeah, absolutely.
her name. You
Right.
can don't ever introduce
Right.
Belinda George Peoples
Right.
without
And I actually slipped because I actually say Birmingham's the queen of soul.
Queen.
People, because that's what she is. And I say that because we've had several late night conversations just as sure as I'm sure she has with you, and
And
very mentioned.
they're unfiltered and
Right.
they soft. And
She will get on you and does not hold back. She will get on you and will not hold back. But it helps you
yeah.
so much in the long run. It helps you.
When she speaks, I listen. There are some people that have earned the right
Absolutely.
to slap you upside the head.
Right.
And she has paid the price in this city to be respected at what she does and what she does and doing in a time when people weren't embracing people that look like her. So she has earned the right for those late night beatings that you
Absolutely. Absolutely.
get. Yeah. The poem, I think it was Brighten Your Corner by Helen Steiner Rice. Brighten Your Corner.
Okay. And we'll definitely, if you could send that to me after the show, I'll definitely post that as well because we definitely have some more people watching. And again, for those who may just be watching, I'm delighted to have Marc Raby as my guest on tonight. And one more time, let's tell people about the amazing show, show that will take place on next Tuesday.
The virtual presentation, Fetty, Ordinary Titan. Again, you can find us on Facebook at Parkway Cultural Arts Center. You'll see the ticket information and the event information right there on our Facebook page, Parkway Cultural Arts Center. Thank you, Paul. You're so professional and thorough. I see you adding to the screen. Thank you, sir. And you're just so well organized and everything. I'm gonna tell people that I was on the show and that I was in the green room and that you just took great care of me backstage and Evian water and green Andes mints and everything. I'm gonna treating me like royalty. I'm gonna tell
you. And again, everyone, for those who've been watching me, we said it again, but we can't talk about this enough. We are 30 days into the November 3rd election. And
please.
This topic from my sister, for those of you who watch on Fridays, her topic for the last 3 weeks has been, what are you going to do about it? That's my question tonight for you. If you all are unhappy with the way our world is, the state that we're in, what are you going to do about it? We've complained enough. We've talked enough. We've voiced our opinion enough. This is your chance to use your voice for the greater good. And here's something else that I would encourage you to do. For those of you who have children that aren't old enough to vote, start taking those children to the polls with you. That's something that my mom and dad did, and my grandmother. And, we asked questions so that once we got older, it would be a seamless process. And I'm grateful for those moments. So those of you with school-age children under 18, and even if they're your grandchildren, take them to the polls with you. Let them, show them the process, show them the way it's done. Start these conversations in our families.
Go online, check your voting status. Make sure that it's intact. Right online, you can go online and check your voter registration, confirm what poll you're registered at. Go online and do that. Make sure it's intact. You don't need any funny business or surprises when you get to the polls. That is the day. If somebody need a ride to the polls, leave them folk alone. Don't ask them for no gas money. Just give them a ride. Let them go. Our lives depend on it. Please give them a ride. Take them. Ask your neighbor if they need to go. Anybody that traditionally don't have transportation, give them a ride.
Absolutely. And I've listed the website vote.gov. If you need to register, someone who's not registered, get them to that site. Also on that site, as Marc said, you can find out your polling place. I encourage you, just because you think you know where your polling place has been, they love to pull the okie doke to change. Please check your polling place before that date. And then again, we want to remind you of the census deadline. I know we've been hearing things where an appeal has been granted to the end of October. That could change by Wednesday, and I'm hoping that it does. But as of now, the deadline is still on Wednesday. So I'm hoping that everyone watching tonight, you completed your census. But if not, you still have time to do so.
We've been talking about it so long that maybe it become noise or whatever. But just make some personal text. If you don't mind, for those of you who like to text your folks. Ask them if they filled it out. Just do your part to help us all be better together.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And for those who are wondering, you have the mindset, well, Birmingham, we don't have anything to do. Did you fill out your census? It only happens once every 10 years. Stop complaining about these potholes if you're not filling out your census. So, y'all, let's get it done. Let's get it done. And tonight, as we end the show, I am going to run those commercials again that I ran at the beginning. So I want to thank, and Karen is posting some reminders. The absentee ballot, if you want to vote absentee for Alabama, you can do it in person or mail your ballot in. But if you're going to do that, I strongly encourage you, if you live in Birmingham and surrounding cities, please, ma'am, please, sir, go to the 3rd floor in the courthouse, fill that thing out in person, let them stamp it. I've heard too many glitches of people that mailed in and this and that happened. So if you do choose to do absentee voting, please do it in person. Again, you can go to the 3rd floor of the Jefferson County Courthouse and get it done. And again, kudos to Marc tonight for all the awesome things he's doing in our city.
Thank you, my family too. That's too, Dan. And Vicky.
Yeah, I think your cousin on Victoria, tell us.
All the way from Texas. Thank you so much for supporting it. Thank you, Chapal. Thank you for everything that you contribute to the tapestry of the arts in the city. You are necessary. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. We're better together, and so I'm just a call away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you all for watching tonight. And as always, we encourage you, keep the faith. And if you are would, please hang around. I'm going to run these commercials again tonight, and that will end our show. And then, like I said, I will definitely post the ticket information on my page. And for those who are not in the private group that I created, the backstage VIP for Divine Vision Entertainment, please consider joining that group. We're not going to worry you to death. We're going to do some things there that you won't ordinarily get on the page, and you need to join that page now. That's all I'll tell you. So thanks again, Marc, for being a guest tonight. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and as always, keep the faith.
Every day, hundreds of children throughout Birmingham receive hot meals at schools through our mobile sites during this remote period of teaching and learning. Throughout the week, our scholars benefit from the programs to help improve learning in critical subjects, such as math and reading. Our Birmingham City School educators are able to do much of this work because our district, like other public school districts around the country, receive federal dollars. The census helps inform the federal government on our funding needs for our local schools. I am Daji Hendricks, President of the Birmingham Board of Education and the board representative for District 4. We are just a few days away from September 30th's deadline for completing the Census 2020. Unfortunately, a large number of people in our community have not completed their census. The census form is very simple. It can be filled out online in about 6 minutes. This is our community. These are our schools, and these are our children. So right now, stop whatever you're doing and go to www.2020census.gov. Make Birmingham count. Thank you.
Hello, Birmingham. It's important that every 10 years that we take the time to fill out this form, the census form, because it impacts what we're able to do local level. Important for grants. It's important to our schools. It helps us with our libraries. If you're tired of the potholes, then you need to fill out the census. If you're tired of flooding that takes place in our city, you need to fill out the census. It gives us money and the tools to address the needs of this city, but also the needs of our schools, our medical facilities, and a whole plethora of things. I would ask that you just take it. It's easy. It's really easy. And it only takes 10 minutes. So let's fill out the census and address the needs that we have in our community.
For more from the Birmingham City Council, follow along with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Stay safe, Birmingham.